Next to me is Louise Heinrich. You're the keynote speaker for today. About what?
About what's happening in the television world with digital technology.
Mm-hmm. And what actually happened, about a decade ago?
Sorry, about
the last 10 years, what has been changed on TV?
Everything and not a whole lot.
No.
So we've always loved television. We've always loved the stories. We've always watched them religiously and spent the whole summer talking about what's going to happen in the next series.
The cliffhangers. Yeah.
Exactly. And we've also always hacked television. We've recorded it when we couldn't watch it, whether that was legal or not, whether or not it was encouraged by the broadcasters. But now with technology, it's easier to do it. It's faster to do it. We can do it in more different ways. We can do essentially whatever we want with programming now. And so the new services that are coming out that are going to be the big successes of the next decade are the ones that enable people and empower people to do whatever they want with the content.
Yeah. So in the past we were limited to, watch TV at home. These days it's possible on smartphone, tablets and so on.
Increasingly.
And how will the media landscape develop in the years to come?
I think that that depends on whether you're talking about content or services.
Yeah, services as a start.
I think that in order for more services to be successful, they need to offer a broader range of content. I think the differentiation will come in what you can do with it. So different people have different preferences when it comes to content, just the way we always have. So some people like to watch together, some people like to be alone, some people don't mind having a tiny screen, some people want a big screen, some people want to be able to share things and clip things, some people don't mind about that. I think we'll see more and more features enter into services that enable people to do more and more as rights negotiations evolve. And I think that we'll see more content in a single service instead of less. So for example, this service is interesting because instead of it just being a few channels, a few broadcasters, or perhaps even only one, you have the entire range of broadcasters that are available in the Netherlands, plus HBO. And that makes it quite different from anything else that's in the market right now.
Yeah, that's right. And this service is played by KPN, the new service that is introduced today. There are a lot of other services, even less legal services and a lot of legal services as well. And we live in a sort of attention economy. Isn't it a bit too much for the consumer?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the attention economy is perhaps a little bit overblown. Yes, it is true that people watch a lot of short-form content, that people jump from one task to another much more frequently. But at the same time, we see movies like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings being massively successful, and they're almost 3 hours long. So I don't think that we are any less willing to watch long-form content or to sit down and sort of get into something. Binge watching is normal. I think that if anything, there's difficulty in connecting people with the content that they're going to love. And that's more difficult because we don't watch as much linear TV. Yeah. If you're not watching the adverts, if you're not watching the commercials, then you might not know what's coming out. So all of that still comes out in conversation, but I think that's the challenge of new services, is to be able to, across the big ocean of content, to connect people with the stuff that they're really going to love.
And more specific on the content, so as you mentioned, long-term watching is what we do for movies, series, and so on. But also there's a sort of developing market for very short footage. What do you see when we are, for instance, in public transport and whatsoever, and just have a few seconds or minutes to watch? What kind of content do we like?
It varies very much from person to person. Some people are fine watching 5 minutes of a program. That would drive me mad. So other people watch short form stuff in those situations, and there's loads of sort of digitally native short form content. Increasingly, advertisers are doing sponsored content instead of just commercials. So you've got more and more of that stuff coming online. But I do think my observation has been that a lot of the shorter, what's called snacking watching, I think a lot of that might be the digital version of channel surfing. Because, when you channel surf, you don't watch every channel for 10 minutes before you flick it, right? You watch it for sometimes a few seconds. And I think there's a lot of that behavior going on in the digital world, but it's not recognized as that because there are no channels to flip. So I think a lot of it is coming from that direction. It's difficult to say with certainty what's going to happen without understanding the why behind the what. So I think we need to observe people and talk to people more about why they're doing what they're doing, so that we can give them the services that they actually want.
Yeah, and actually, well, this app from KPN, Play, is sort of, well, your new zapper for special content. There's also the content from vloggers, the user-generated content. Will it be a serious role in the years to come, or will it, well, just be there on the YouTube channels?
I think it already is a serious contender. I mean, the obviously it's not as much money as the mainstream broadcasters, but there's quite a lot of money coming out of digitally native content, and what I've seen happen that's working really nicely is that broadcasters and content producers are starting to find stars that already exist in the digital world, that already have a following, that already know how to tell a story, and just helping them tell those stories better, and forming multi-channel networks in the digital world of that digitally native content, which is a different animal to the mainstream content for lots of reasons. I mean, not least because in the television world we're used to things being 30 minutes long or 60 minutes long, whereas in the digital world they can be as short or long as they like. Exactly. So I do think that will continue to play a role. I think it's a complementary role. There's room for, as long as it's content that people like, there's room for it in the landscape, I think.
Okay. Well, for closing down, there's one new development. We call it user-generated live streaming content. What do you think about that? It's on YouTube, Periscope, all the other networks.
I think that it reminds me very much of when webcams became the thing, and all of the A-list bloggers had a webcam sat on top of their camera looking at them, and that was in 1999. So again, this isn't necessarily a new thing. I think it speaks to the really deep-seated human need to share our lives with people and to feel that our lives have meaning beyond ourselves. So of course I think that stuff is going to keep on getting popular, and I think that it will probably lead to an entirely new genre of storytelling. You know, sort of
the excitement of live.
Exactly, the excitement of live, the idea of improvisation. It'll be really interesting to see how people play together, how people create stories together, maybe from other sides of the world, using these new tools. I think it's just it's more interesting than it is scary, although it is sometimes a little bit scary.
It just matters what you're watching. Exactly. Okay, if viewers want to know more about you, where can they check on the internet?
You can follow me at Custom Deluxe on Twitter. You can find my company at weareallsuperhuman.com, or me personally at louiseheinrich.com.
Well, that's clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great.